Hey, it's Bill from the Bill Simmons podcast. FIFA World Cup 26 fans, listen up. As the official beer sponsor of the FIFA World Cup 26, Michelob Ultra is giving away $1 million worth of FIFA World Cup 26 tickets and prizes. Enter now at michelobultra.com/superior access/FIFA World Cup 26. Michelob Ultra FIFA World Cup 26 superior access. No purchase necessary. Open U.S. residents 21 plus begins on December 1st, 2025. Ends on July 31st, 2026. Multiple entry periods. Visit www.michelobultra.com/superior access/FIFA World Cup 26 for free entry deadlines, prizes, and details.
Pace checkout is offered by your banks and credit unions. So when you shop online at participating merchants, your cards appear in one place. Pace. It checks out. Activation required. See pace.com to learn more. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, so what I want to talk about, how bad can it get, right? So one of the things, right, people always have this romantic, like, fantasy of the apocalypse, or, you know, a vision of, oh, well, I won't have to go to work, right? That's I think
and honestly, sometimes I feel like it's worth dying, you know?
I won't have to deal with that jerk at work anymore. Or I won't have, whatever, pay my child support. I don't know what does it for you that, is the fantasy of not living in the traditional world we live in today. I'm tired of the cops. Right? I'll be able to drive my car as fast as I want to drive. I'm going to be like road warrior out there. I've been working on that 69 or 71 Mustang with the big blower and
supercharger and everything.
I'm going to be going. Yeah, that's the fantasy, right? Or at least how I imagine it. Or they're like, oh, I'll just go take whatever I want and it'll be great. And that's not going to be realistic, right? Yeah. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about, is how bad things could really be before, if things go south. Just the heightened security and always being aware or alert is going to be a big issue. And, of taxing you mentally and taxing us. Now, I think one, who knows how collapse would present itself. Now, obviously, there is the possibility that, like, we piss Iran off and they just, EMP and lights go out and everything, or China grows a set and just shuts us down, or a major cyber attack, right? That's probably more likely from Iran, to be honest, than anybody else. But Russia, China, North Korea, we piss a lot of people off. Kevin, you probably didn't realize, but our government tends to like to poke the bear a little bit, And
yeah, there are always rumors that, China has backdoors in all our power plants and backdoors in all of our infrastructure and our utilities. And I don't know how true that is, but
can't be good.
I mean, I know if I was a government, I'd be trying to do that to other countries, trying to make sure that I can shut it down if I want to,
Be like, yeah, right. You can get pretty tough, but I'm going to be tougher, right? Yeah, that's the thing. And it's like, if we have a Democrat president, a lot of times we appear weak to the rest of the world and vulnerable. And if we have a Republican president, we're just pissing everybody off. And then, that doesn't end well either.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter. Diplomacy doesn't work. Right. Exactly.
Exactly.
Either way. Especially when the guy in office now is shitting himself on live TV. It's not like a really intimidating, situation. When you start a war with the 13th most powerful army and then lose, like, what the fuck, bro?
Oh, Kevin. It's our evil rules.
If you're going to start a war, you got to win the war. That's all I'm saying.
You got to be in it to win it.
Now we're on par with fucking Russia losing to Ukraine,
I know everybody's like, I know people are like, you can never stand up to a military like America or Russia or
right.
Maybe you could.
And then it just happens.
Yeah.
In front of the entire world. It's not even like, anyone can play it off. It's obvious.
Kevin, that's wrong. All right. So let's keep moving forward here. So one of the things is, I think a lot of it comes through that whole, like, it could happen slowly until all of a sudden you're deep into it and people don't even realize things are going south, right? So it's that normalcy bias. And that's, you just don't kind of see the change coming. Like, remember, September 11th, 2001 happened and everything kind of got worse. And then it never got better as far as personal security and safety. Then, Edward Snowden, he put out all his stuff and we were like, oh, that's really bad. We need to be careful. And then
nobody did anything about it.
And we just accepted surveillance as a way of life, right? I mean, man, surveillance, that Palantir and the flock cameras and the way they can track and see everything. And, there's a new guy I've been following on social media, and he may not be new. He's new to me. And this guy just goes through how the government is surveilling you. And basically the government is limited kind of a tiny, tiny bit by the Constitution and the Fourth Amendment and like, and loosely limited, I would say. But even so, what they do is private companies sell our information to the government. That's why I'm so scared of these data centers, because it's like they're collecting everything privately. We're basically paying for it. I know you think the companies are paying for the data centers, but we're paying for a lot of that. I mean, in our electric bill and things like that, right? I'm not saying we're paying to get them built. I'm saying, and honestly, with all our subscriptions, aren't we paying for it anyway? Like by choice. So one of the things is that I was going to get into is we end up where we're actually signing or accepting all those user agreements like Facebook. They're like, oh, we can do anything with your information and it'll be fine. But you'll get to watch videos like nonstop, just scroll. And you're like, oh, well, I'll do that. I'm in.
Yeah. I mean, I could live without doom scrolling.
Right. TikTok, whatever. Right. So any of these, we keep accepting. When we accept those terms, if it's anything like the Palantir stuff and whatever, what these companies are doing, we're just like, oh yeah. Or your cell phone, like, hey, we're going to, track you, sell your info, because to make it work good. Right. Like your Apple user agreement, whatever. Yeah. But just so it works better, Like, would you like an extra bar sometimes with your connectivity if you just give up some of your I'd do that.
A little bit of your freedom.
Sign me up, right? A little bit of freedom. That stuff's never coming back. So that's the Snowden thing. Then we go down to, we have these riots, like, and if things aren't national, like I know the news was national, but if you don't see it in real time, it's kind of, well, that's what those crazy people, the crazy Californians, or you remember, so when they had, I guess, George Floyd in 2020, they had all those riots everywhere, and Portland, they overtook it. They like shut it down where the police wouldn't go into a section of the city for like 90 days.
Yeah. It was long run there. And they were just running themselves with an anarchist government. And it turns out it didn't like really work out, when you run a city through anarchy, it's not really.
I just feel like there's a lot of poo and no trash pickup. I feel like that's what breaks the camel's back. You're like, I could deal with a little poo in the street. And then after a while, you're like, it's getting kind of hairy in here. But that's not a world you want to live in, right? Like for 90 days. I know you're like, well, Chuck, I just have to get through the 90 days. Well, one, if you don't know that there's an end in sight, could you hold up for 90 days without supplies coming in and whatever?
Right. That's a tough one. I mean, most people have about 2 weeks worth of food in their house. 90 days is not 2 weeks, And
the thing is, you don't know that it's 90 days. So you're like, oh, this could be a while. We need to make this 2 weeks food last 2 weeks.
We got to 4
no
weeks. No snacking this week.
but you don't know that it's going to be back. You know, like
Mhm.
when the power goes out, you have that fear, like it could be on in an hour or it could be on in 2 days.
Mhm.
How to judge that is hard, right?
Right.
And then all of a sudden, oh, it's 90 days, right? So that's part of how this goes, right? Who do you trust? Do you tell your neighbors, hey, you know, this could last 90 days. I can't share my snacks with you. You know, I have
Mhm.
6 weeks worth of food, but if I'll share half of it with you because everything will be normal tomorrow or the
Everything will
next
be
day
fine.
or
Yeah.
in a week. So let's do that. Or do you tell your neighbors no, and then the lights come on like 2 days later and you're like, oh, that was
shit.
awesome.
I still have 80 days worth of food and
And
kids
I made
starved
you
to death.
starve, right? Your family, you know, doesn't look so good. So I mean, that's kind of a horrible, but it's realistic, right? You need to just
Right.
play out these scenarios and just think of what's possible. You know, nobody thought Puerto Rico was going to be as bad as it was when it was hit with that hurricane a while back.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, it was unbelievable how long it took to recover. Even New Orleans, what was the hurricane?
Katrina.
Katrina.
Hurricane Katrina.
Nobody
Yeah.
thought it would be like that. I mean,
Yeah.
that was bad. I mean, and I don't mean how bad the hurricane was. I mean how bad the recovery was. You know,
Right.
and it's unbelievable what happens, and we just immediately turn into chaos. Now, so how do you prepare? I think one of the things is mentally. You need to understand what the possibilities are. And if you accept these things that they could get really bad earlier on, you're going to be able to mentally, because that's the thing. I think that's where that normalcy bias comes from, is people are almost in like a state of shock of not believing what's
Right.
happening. And they're like, if I just separate in my brain and shut it down, where I don't acknowledge that things are that bad, then
Right.
it's okay. If I pretend the government isn't spying on me and doing really fucked up evil shit, then everything's okay. You know, that's how we need to do it. We need to just, and that's not how you should be doing it, but I'm saying that's what your body does. It's trying to protect itself, and it's trying to, yeah, go ahead.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, I think that's you know, there's a lot of that shit going on today, you know, with just, you know, used to be that dad would go to work for 40 hours a week and cover the healthcare and the electric bill and, you know, have 5 kids and mom stays at home and changes diapers and makes dinner. That's not the situation anymore. You can't have just dad working a regular 9 to 5 job and you can cover all your bills. Things don't cost the same now. Credit card debt in the United States is up to $1.2 trillion.
That's a lot.
It keeps going up. You know what I mean? Because it's going to get better. You know what I mean? This is just a temporary thing where wages are low and prices are high. I'll just put it on the credit card this month.
Right.
And next month, and then the next month, and then the next month. And before you know it, you're maxed out and you still don't have any, you know, you still didn't get that raise you thought, you know?
Right. No, absolutely. So that's one of the things, like, you got to keep it together, but you don't know how bad it's going to be. And that's the thing, like inflation, like it keeps getting worse and worse. And we keep going, oh, you know, they're more expensive in the grocery store. And you kind of get used to $4 a gallon gas and then $4.80 a gas.
Right.
Yeah. And people used to work, you know, Slow Burn was saying, you know, 40 hours a week, like back in the day. Right. Yeah. Now 40 hours is like part-time. You know, you see all the things they're like, and people are like, oh, well, you know, I can't live on my McDonald's salary or whatever. And yeah, you need McDonald's and Taco Bell, and you need to work at all of them. You need to like do that fast food circuit,
right?
If you want to be able to, you know, make ends meet. But
it's only high school kids that work at McDonald's, dude. It's not real people. That's why, you know, That's why McDonald's and Burger King are closed during the lunch hour, because all the kids are in school.
Smart. Or you drop out of school and do what you got to do, Kevin. You gotta step up your game. You got to commit. I mean, if you want that new guitar,
for suckers,
for the new, no. And that's the thing. It's not about buying new guitars. It's about you got to just put food on the table.
Yeah. Or you're living in a van down by the river.
Oh, van down by the river. That always sounds fun. It's a little romantic, Kevin.
It is.
Because you always want the water view. And then if you're you get it, right? So, all right. So how bad do things get? Well, they can get bad. One of the things that always is terrifying is people, like I said, the first thing, I think the first level is deciding to share with your neighbors or not and telling people no. Like, when is it enough to protect your little group? And you can plan for that, right? Like I said, if you had a couple of 50-pound bags of rice that cost you almost nothing, you could be like, hey, I got a bag of rice for you.
Or what my game is, I just have a feud with every one of my neighbors. So they're not even going to come. They might start shooting in my house, but they're not going to come over and ask for anything.
That's smart. See?
Let them all take care of each other, Leave me alone.
Yeah, exactly. But so just keep that in mind, right? Just keep in, like, that's where it first goes. And you're going to make some enemies that way, right? And again, maybe you don't make enemies because you plan with some provisions to share. You can also motivate people to start like preparing their own stuff, but you need to not tip your hand too much by like, hey, I'm really prepared.
Right.
And
you might not want to be the only asshole with lights on in the neighborhood,
Exactly. You're cooking the barbecue, like, and you're like, it's okay because I'm just emptying out my freezer and cooking it up. And that's the thing, like, maybe if you have a bunch of freezer meat that is going to go bad. Now, obviously, we could talk about smoking it or preserving it in other ways, drying it out for that couple of days as it's going bad so you can make it last. That'd be awesome. But if you have no other alternative and it is going to go bad, maybe you have a barbecue for the neighborhood and you get a lot of points right there. Like, hey, let's all have our gonna go bad stuff. Cook it right now where we kind of fill our bellies up, and maybe you buy a lot of goodwill right then so they can preserve
off the bat.
Crackers and their whatever things that'll last, right? The bags of Doritos. So that's something you could do to buy initial friendship. But again, you need to say, hey, this is it. We have food, but it's all going bad.
Right.
So this is what I can share and what I can do. So that's something. All right. Now, what about medication, right? People don't realize medication goes away. And so you don't have any more stuff. So infection becomes a thing. Washing your hands, hygiene. Do you have like enough toothpaste to last a little while? Now, I'm always told that you only need a pea-size amount of toothpaste. I feel like I put more than that on the brush when I brush my teeth. But so you could stretch it out. But if you're on that like really rolled up, squeezed out roll of toothpaste, that it's probably not gonna last.
Yeah, and just so it's not a pass to not brush your teeth, because the people are still gonna. You can brush your teeth without toothpaste. It's not like a reason to just skip it.
A toothache without a dentist sounds bad to me. Yeah, that sounds scary. Now, I've never really had that, but I've seen people with toothache. Like, I've had tooth pain, I guess, in my life, but it's not a normal thing. I would say buy some tubes of Orajel and some stuff like that. Keep it. Yeah. I use it for like everything. Like, kid gets a bee sting, Orajel. Okay. You get anything. You just put that. It just numbs it. It's
problem solver right there, man.
Solver, at least a problem hider until it goes away, right? But there is very few things you can get that are as effective as like Orajel, man. That just wipes it out for the minute. it's more than a minute. It's like 4 or 5 hours or whatever, but I don't know. At least I feel like it is. I don't, like I said, I've never really had a toothache that, like, people describe, because like you go to the dentist, right? I never understand that though. Like I went like 10 years after I got out of the Navy without going to the dentist. And I show up and they're like, "Oh, you don't have any cavities. You're good." And I'm like, "All right."
Right on.
Right on, man. Why would I keep coming here then?
Yeah.
But all right. So next is I talked about medication, right? So you might not have antibiotics. You need to worry about hygiene and clean. Cholera, all that stuff starts coming, and people get the poos in the water, and because you're not getting clean water, maybe, right? And then that's a big thing. So we talk about treating water and stuff. I don't want to go on the big tirade, but you guys know, like, clean water is a big deal. And it becomes an issue. People pooping in the stream that they weren't pooping in the stream a week ago, was kind of clean before. Now it's not kind of clean. So you need to be aware of that. You always see those gross videos of people like out there just pooping in the river. I don't know why.
Yeah. But I don't understand that. Like, poop, you can poop anywhere. Why are you hanging your ass over the river?
In the river? I mean, but again, if toilet paper is an issue, maybe you're like, well, I can clean it off.
Splash your butt and you're good.
But anyway, it does sound bad, right? So one, you need to keep things like, on the easy, where you're washing your hands, you're taking care of it, but you're not out barbecuing. You're not the only house with your lights on, right? Where everyone's like, "Oh, that guy's got supplies." Or you're running your generator and everybody hears it. "Oh, the generator's going. They must have stuff we want." Right. Or they should be able to help us because look, you have, we don't. That's the thing that matters. You need to be aware of it. Next is we talked about medication. So we don't have antibiotics, but also the psychos. It turns out a lot of people need drugs now to kind of stay on the level, right?
Yeah.
To stay in the non-psycho status or the kind of comatose, like fetal position, super depressed level, So,
and honestly, there's nothing more depressing than the apocalypse. If you have depression, you don't need something to be sad about. You know what I mean? You're just depressed. But if also the world is on fire, just gives you another reason not to get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah. And it turns out some of the drugs, you don't want to go cold turkey on.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a big thing too. So actually talking to your doctor beforehand and being like, how do I have a slow transition? If I ran out, what do I do? That's something you might actually want to consult beforehand, but that's not this episode, right? This episode is, what about all these people who it runs out? That's a problem. So you need to find a way to deal with these things and to combat it. And that's kind of a terrifying thing. So, basically the more like inflation creeps up, the more people become more desperate. Things at the grocery store, they come in smaller packages. We'd been seeing that for years, right? Where, you spend money, but now you're getting like half the stuff.
Right. And somehow the price is still creeping up though.
Yeah, exactly.
It's more expensive for less.
Yeah, exactly. So think about also like, who could you count on? Who can you bring into your inner circle? How do you set up the world to prevent these things? Is it maybe your neighbors, your friends, your family, your community? We did episodes on getting like your community more prepared. And if, your local fire department spends a little bit of money for generators or a fuel storage tank or things like that, you could, and then that way they have to worry about security of supplies that they might be able to, like, even I might have a well or a way to take care of my family, but if I can make it that everybody else in town is going to the well that they get at the local firehouse, you know, and they're pumping up fresh water, or maybe they're filling a fire truck and bringing in fresh water from, you know, the well they can go get, and that you encouraged them to get a setup. Maybe you financed it, maybe whatever. If you can get everybody over there and not desperate for what you have, that's going to be a good thing, right? So it's that thinking outside the box. Like, how can I make things better so that it's going to be better for me too, right? It's selfish, but it's kind of one of those, you know, they talk about on the airplane, right? Where they're like, put your mask on first, and then you can help other people. So yes, you have to take care of yours, but it is still okay to help other people. But you need to think beforehand, how can I do that? How is it going to be that I can do it where I don't say, come to Chuck's house because there's going to be a bread line and I'm going to hand out loaves of bread to everybody. Then people are going to be like, I just want your bread, you know? And it might be good until you run out of bread. I don't think you have limitless loaves of bread. You know, we've talked about setting up ways where people, you know, have to bring something to trade or have value, you know, whatever. But think of ways that you can make your community better, that you can ease the burden of all these bad things that come. Because things could get bad. There are psychos out there, Kevin. I don't know if you like, crime is a big thing now. And that's while you can call 911 and there are still consequences to your actions, right? It gets pretty bad. It can get really bad. And that's something to, you know, to be aware of, because Kevin, it could be terrifying. There are real psychos out there. And if those psychos go unchecked, you need to find a way to protect it. And, you know, having, I have all my food storage, I'm good, I have a year. But how do you protect that? Can you stay up 24/7? Can you, you know, be able to just take care of everything no matter what? You know, that's something you need to think about. Kevin, thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think that's a big deal. Is you know, I might get arrested is the only reason I'm not going on a rampage every day. You know what I mean? Like when the cops stop showing up, everybody's in trouble. But I'm not the only person that's you know, just right on the edge of going over the top with things.
Right.
And I think that's a big deal with especially if you live in like an urban community or even the suburbs where it's neighbor after neighbor after neighbor, block after block. That dude next door that's at the gym all the time because he's got rage issues, he might be a problem, you know? He goes to the gym to work it out so he doesn't lose his shit, and the gym's closed and he doesn't have enough food. He's right on the edge, you know? And now he's got free reign. You know, he's ready to go, ready to party. I know I have like 5 friends like that they're right on the edge all the time, you know? And you know, when the edge comes, man, that's a lot of people. That's a good percentage of the population.
That's the thing. You're going over the edge, you know? So you're going to have two, basically. I mean, I'm sure there's the sheepdog good guy who's out there, but there's a lot less of them than you think. And then there's, I mean, maybe it used to be more the case, but the world is not. Now you're going to have a bunch of people who are in the, I'm super depressed and emotionally withdrawn. And then you're going to have the full on psychos. And then you're going to have good people trying to hold it all together. Right. That's kind of one of the things I wanted to talk about. You were talking about the rage guy, and is what happens when you're outnumbered, right? So somebody comes, that the angry mob of 50 people in your neighborhood got together and they realized, you know what, Kevin's still got some belly and he's drinking beer every day on the porch. I don't understand why I don't have beer and he has beer, and they come and you're outnumbered, right? Or maybe your house burns down and you're moving off to look to a new location, or you decided you were going to go to the cabins up at Lake so-and-so and, you know, hide out up there, but you're on your way and your group of 5 people gets overrun by 20 people with guns, or they catch you in a crossfire and they're all like, all right, get on the ground. We all have guns pointed at you and you can't even see them and don't know where they are. And what do? Right? So there comes a point, and it doesn't matter what the scenario is, but there comes a point where you're going to have to give up your stuff, right? I mean, maybe you'll be able to protect everything forever, but that's a real possibility you need to think of. And, I mean, sometimes it's worth dying to, you fight to the death and it is what it is. Mm-hmm. But there are other times that you need to just say, you know what? All right, take my stuff. I'll take we'll leave, here you go. And sorry. And that's why you need to think of caches or having a hidden stash, and you need to plan ahead and have things. So I'm just saying things could get a lot worse than you really expect. And that's why it's so important to have the backup plan, to have the hidden cache, to have the, hey, if things go bad here, we'll all regroup and go to, place B where, my brother's compound. Or if my brother's compound gets overrun, they all come over here. Or day one, you all go to one compound and you, fortify it and whatever. But you need to come up with a plan. I mean, that's the whole prepper thing, right? Is to come up with a plan together where we, have a way to do this, and we have a way to, to work together, right? As a team, is to, something like that where we can be together.
Right.
And that's right. Really
and have each other's back.
And have each other's back and support each other. And that's the whole thing of prepping, is to come up with a plan, right? It's preparing a plan and then putting steps into, actions to have that plan play out, stockpiling some of the stuff over at the house. Or maybe, the compound you're going to go to, your buddy's house, is 2 hours away. Well, recognizing the signs so that you're going to be there.
And you can make it. Yeah, you can make it there.
Or if maybe you're worried about an EMP or something like that, do I have a vehicle that can get me there after things are bad? Do I have a way to travel? Because if you can do things quickly, you're going to have way better odds than waiting until things fall apart and go that way. So I just kind of wanted to lay it out, like how bad things could get, so that you have a plan. You can think about these things beforehand and realize how important it is to have something in place and to not let the world just keep getting worse and worse until it's too late. And I think if you're paying attention and maybe start digging into like Palantir and some of these companies, you realize
they don't have your best interest in mind.
You'll realize that maybe we need to be making sure that our government doesn't kind of get a hold of us. It really seems like the noose is tightening around us, and the way the economy is and stuff. You see these things. I follow all these guys talking about like AI and stuff like that. It really, there are definitely people out there who are thinking, I want AI to kind of handle everything. Right. And I mean, do all the jobs, right?
Right. Like, we don't have to work anymore. And we just, it's
so utopia. There's no more people. You're thinking utopia, and like, I heard Elon mention universal income, and we won't have to do anything, right? That's what you're thinking. But there are people who are actually working like, hey, we won't need these people. And maybe not like, hey, we're thinking genocide, we'll just kill them all off, but it's just irrelevant. Like, we don't care about you, and there is nothing. So
there's nothing coming your way, and
however that plays
that doesn't
out,
bother me.
You just go away. Yeah. And there is a surveillance state being set up, however that is going to be really set up to protect the people that matter. I don't feel like a surveillance state is to protect the people on the street, the average you and me, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So just start to think and pay attention to things, and don't let life get away from you. I'm just saying. So anyway, I appreciate you guys. Like, you always stick around and support us. So thank you. With that, I'd say stay safe And we will talk to you guys next week.